Hey, what's up, guys? I know it's been a while since I read. It's been a really long time. I'm actually still on this book. I think I've even paid for this book. I've been charged for it, I'm sure, by the library. I wonder if I turn it in, will they be surprised? But I need to finish this book, get it uploaded. I can't remember off the top of my head where I'm at, but the only marker that I have saved on this book is chapter 3 of section 6. File it to flaunt it before the IRS. File it to flaunt it before the IRS. Filing. You may already know that a corporation has one of the lowest probabilities of being selected for an audit by the IRS. But sometimes it happens. If the IRS calls on you, it doesn't have to be the worst experience of your life. This chapter may be the most important one you will ever read in case you ever receive one of those friendly notices from the IRS. Case study Smitty. That is up that window right there. So it says corporations are the least audited out of probably like LLCs and I don't know, other you know, self-employed jobs. So case study 23, Smitty. Sure, it's here somewhere. A client of mine named Smitty gave me concise expenses and income numbers for her and her husband's small mom-and-pop repair shop. Each year I was impressed with how easy it was to follow her notes. The wife was responsible for the bookkeeping and had never quite gotten around to putting it on a computer. That wasn't really critical after all. Businesses did exist before the advent of the computer, although I'm already forgetting how that was possible. Then the inevitable happened. Their small business was called into audit. I should note that they had filed using a Schedule C they refused to consider incorporating and accepted the higher cost of self-employment taxes and lost deductions as a consequence. However, their troubles were only beginning when the wife dropped off 3 boxes of invoices to my office to pull together the information needed for the audit. Her filing system was methodical, neat, and completely wrong. She filed her invoices into files labeled by month. So when the IRS requested substantiation for office supplies, I had to go through 12 months of file folders and try to reconstruct where she had come up with the numbers. I tried to enlist her help in this task, but she reacted as many do to the prospect of an IRS audit. She totally refused to get involved. The task then fell to my office, and we finally accomplished the task. But remember, a CPA firm charges by the hour. She likely paid 10 times the accounting fee because her filing system was so difficult with which to work. Key points. Filing is critical. If you cannot find it, you cannot use it. Keep yearly files. Keep your files accurate and in a safe place. So instead of, she should have already had those numbers before she gave it to the CPA. She should already had, not monthly, she should have already calculated those numbers herself, pretty much. Oh shit, man. Bro, what's up with you, man? You're awake now that I'm reading?
I'm not awake.
What did they tell you to come over here? Stop him.
What?
Stop his plagiarism. You heard me reading?
Did I hear you reading?
Yeah. What's up, man? You good? Are you good right now? Is your mind intact? Did you come here to harm me?
It's always intact.
Alright, well.
Sometimes.
This is my buddy right here. He's affecting this chapter, but we're almost done with it anyway.
Eggs?
You need them?
You said you were going to bring them. Over here or want them?
Gosh, darn it. You need the chorizo? Oh, shit. Sir, you need the chorizo?
Huh?
You need the chorizo? You need
Holy
them?
shit, dude.
Do you need the chorizo?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I want to answer that question on tape.
God damn it.
Still
rolling. This is a short chapter, guys. Stick with me.
How'd you keep them cold? You got a little cooler?
Come on now. Shout out to my friend Edit, man.
I thought they were...
Hey, do you need the beans?
Bring them over. I'll cook these.
All right, Lake.
Here, how hard is it?
Hey, here, look.
You keep all nervous about it. I I'm not taking that. I don't have any. I don't even know if I have.
Why don't you use this? All right, later. All right, guys, we'll carry on. I fucking wet my weed. Damn it. Wet my weed. Wet my joint. Put in the sun. This motherfucker dry. I didn't really wet the weed. It's cool. Sorry, guys. I got paranoid. I'm faded, and all of a sudden I thought he just came because he heard me reading. And I was right before he came, I was paranoid that I was plagiarizing the author, but maybe I'm helping people like the book too. So filing it now. So oh yeah, guys. So key points to Smitty not being organized and kind of being unprepared when she gave over her numbers to her CPA, you know, her accountant, to deal with the audit. So I think that whole idea was just to actually try to sum up the numbers for yourself before giving it to them. Filing it now. Your filing system is the backbone of your tax return. Make it a system that is easy with which to work. Most important, keep your filing current. Your filing system is the backbone of your tax. Make it a system that is easy with which to work. Most important, keep your filing current. How to file. Each year, start new files. If your business is small or just starting up, purchase a brown accordion file labeled alphabetically. If your business is larger, make labels for your files for each letter of the alphabet. A, B, C, etc. As you pay an invoice, note on the invoice check number, date paid, account code, classification, and number 4, amount paid. File the invoice according to the vendor name. In other words, if you are paying your phone bill to AT&T, write on the face of the invoice the check number, the date paid, account code, telephone, and amount paid. The invoice will then get filed under A for AT&T. Yearly files. At the end of the year, box and label these files by the year, then keep the files for a minimum of 5 years. If you have purchased an asset, keep copies of the sales contract or invoice, as well as a proof of improvements until you dispose of the asset. Personal reimbursements. If you pay for items personally that are for the benefit of the corporation, it is important that the corporation reimburses you for these expenses. For example, it is likely you paid the expenses for starting your corporation from personal funds. Once you have your corporate checking account set up, have the corporation reimburse you for these expenses. Just for starting your corporation? What the fuck? Submit an expense account to the corporation requesting reimbursement. Submit an expense account, like the amount of money you paid, requesting reimbursement, and attach a copy. Treat this just as you would if you were asking an employer you had in the past for a reimbursement. You need to provide your corporation with the same kind of documentation. Incidentally, one of the questions that I'm always asked is, how do you open the checking account initially? That's easy. As a shareholder, you make a cash contribution to the corporation and buy stock, or you can contribute capital into the form of a loan. Eventually, the corporation will repay the loan. You must document the loan in your minutes and substantiate it with proper loan papers. However, back to the expenses that you have submitted to the corporation. This invoice will be marked like any other with the amount paid, date, and so forth. So back to the expenses that you have submitted to the corporation for reimbursement. This invoice would be marked like any other with the amount paid, the date, and so forth. Then it should be filed alphabetically under your name. Sure, this is an extra step, and most people balk initially, like at the extra paperwork. But remember the Wizard of Oz? Dorothy and her friends were told to pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. If you truly want to set up a legally binding company which is autonomous from you, then you want to make sure that everyone will pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. That curtain is, of course, the corporate veil. Follow these important steps to maintain that veil. Don't commingle personal and corporate funds by failing to follow this process. The enemy within. I was called into a successful retail shop as a consultant to try to determine why, with sales at an all-time high, there wasn't enough money to make payroll. A new partner had been brought in who was interested in correctly reflecting income and keeping good records and books. The former sole owner and now partner had previously run the company very loosely. He felt that one of the perks of being in business was the ability to skim from the register. Because of that, the accounting records and cost of good margins were never accurate and couldn't be relied upon for any comparisons. So he was always taking money. The new partner instituted better controls, and it quickly became obvious that none of the records balanced. The manual listing of accounts receivable. Okay, so the manual listing, so he was doing it by hand. The manual listing of accounts receivable. I mean, the money that's owed to you. Who owes you money? Did not reconcile with the financial statements. Deposits were not being made in a timely manner. There was duplicate and triplicate paying of invoices. Damn. All of these tasks had been performed by the aged bookkeeper, a sweet little old lady who had worked for the owner for 27 years. She also had been embezzling for most of that time. She was embezzling? She had also been embezzling for most of that time. I can't tell you how many times I have seen embezzlement in businesses where owners simply believe it can't happen to them. An amazing 72% of medical offices have had at least one. More than 60% have experienced 2 embezzlements. These embezzlements can be stopped by proper controls, but most important, honesty begins at the top. If your employees believe you are stealing, they are more likely to steal. Practices such as skimming erode your employees' respect. So we say skimming, it kills your employees' respect for you. Put you at a substantial risk from the IRS and are totally unnecessary. A well-run corporation is going to have enough legitimate deductions all by itself and hopefully resulting profits. How long to keep records? Hopefully you're convinced by now that you need to keep good records and have a plan on how to do that. But the question still remains is how long records should be kept. Generally, the statute of limitations on tax returns is 3 years. It is generally recommended that all records, invoices, canceled checks, and such be kept 5 years. Special records. If you have assets such as stock and real estate, you will need to be able to prove your basis, the initial cost, in these items when you sell them. Some dividends will increase your basis in stock. For this reason, I recommend that you keep all past tax returns if you are an investor. Additionally, if you own any real estate, including your house, keep a copy of the closing statement you received when it was purchased and copies of canceled checks and invoices for any improvements made to the property. Let me read this quote. What the world really needs is more love and less paperwork. Pearl Bailey. So this is the last little, or before the conclusion. So we're on duplicate copies. This is an exception to the standard filing system. So duplicate copies. So he pretty much is going to talk about that. So this is an exception to the standard filing system. Make duplicate copies of these special records. For example, I am developing some land. I have a file folder which holds 1 copy of the invoices and lists expenses for the development, engineering, plan costs, and others. Another copy is filed by my vendor and stored by year. So whatever, another copy of, have a file folder which holds 1 copy of the invoices and lists expenses for the development, engineering, plan costs, and others. Another copy is filed by my vendor and stored by year. These duplicate copies will provide invaluable information when I sell the property. So when he says another copy is filed by my vendor and stored by year, yeah, I'm wondering if he means like the vendor holds a copy of the copy he's keeping, which makes sense. Isn't that just company policy pretty much? So the conclusion, this is just about filing your records. Keep all financial records for 5 years. A good filing system just like a good accounting system will make the difference between merely making money and being able to keep it by with, okay. A good filing system, just like a good accounting system, will make the difference between merely making money and being able to keep it by withstanding any challenge. So yeah, you make money, but like Smitty, or the other example, they were making money, but they couldn't understand why they weren't seeing any money. You know, they couldn't pay their rent. They couldn't even pay their employees. It's because the owner, it's just human behavior. It's not even numbers or nothing. The human behavior of, oh, always borrowing from himself, taking out the register, what needed to stay in business, you know? So, and then even they were overpaying. They were saying some of their invoices were paying 2 to 3 times more than they should have been paying. And part of it was because they kept that same old accountant who was embezzling them, which I think is taking money from them, I think. And not only that, was not doing her job well at all. So, you know, I don't know. That's just, I don't know. It sounds like someone who inherited a business, didn't really grow it themselves. But people do all sorts of shit. You never know, man. Somebody could just, one year could have been a relationship. They got in love, and they're letting that person kind of let's go out. They're trying to like live a life that they haven't really seen that extra wealth yet. You know, they were probably like a year or 2 away from putting a little more work into their business before now they're trying to like live a life that they didn't have, you know. It's more important that you create some sort of separation from an accident happening, but that you have some extra money to overcome that, or to help you get over that. You know, it's been more secure that way, as opposed to having a business that, it's like right now, my truck is I'm one fucking blown out engine from not having no vehicle because I don't have nothing saved. So it's always important that you have something extra for security, as opposed to keep taking out the register, man. You don't give yourself that separation from being secure to just living a life that one mistake throws you off tremendously, you know. So peace.